Good morning, everyone. I'd like to get us started today with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to the NAIOP Southern Nevada October Breakfast Program. I'm Matthew Hoyt, and I've had the privilege of serving as your chapter president this year. Good morning to everyone in attendance here at the Orleans and to everyone joining us by Zoom. For all of you that are here in the room, you'll find notepads at your tables. Please write down any questions you have during the program, and Dan Tuntland on the Programs Committee will collect them for our Q&A session, which will wrap up the program from 9 o'clock to 9:15. Today we have some very special guests in our audience. I'd like to recognize our elected officials in attendance today. Please stand and be recognized when your name is called. Henderson Councilman Jim Seebach. Boulder City Mayor Joe Hardy. And Clark County Commissioner Justin Jones. We also want to recognize our UNLV students in attendance today. I'm told we have 12 students in the audience this morning. If you're a student, please stand and welcome to NAIOP. Everyone, please take the time to introduce yourself to any of the students in the room today. They're wearing bright green name tags, and they're the future of our industry. As you all know, limited land availability has been a hot topic, not just for NAIOP, but for our entire community in the state of Nevada as well. I won't dive into all the reasons why land is an issue for us, but please see the one-page flyer on your tables for some quick facts why land access in Southern Nevada affects you. I'd now like to ask Julie Cleaver, our NAIOP corporate board representative, to come up and give us an update on NAIOP corporate's activities this year. As many of you know, Julie spent the last 20 years master planning Summerlin and helping guide the residential and commercial real estate development in the community. She currently serves on the government affairs and membership committees, was past president of our chapter in 2020, served on the board of directors from 2017 to 2023, and is currently serving on the executive committee for NAIOP Corporate as vice chair of membership. Welcome to the stage, Julie.
Thank you. I think there's many people standing as there are sitting, getting your coffee and your breakfast. So I think this is kind of important. If you could kind of keep it down and maybe whisper to each other, I'd appreciate it. I know. You missed this, right? Good morning. If you attended the breakfast program in May, you heard Alex Thompson talk about his goals for NAIOP this year. He's our chairman. And how he wanted everyone to see NAIOP not just through the lens of your chapter, but more globally as one NAIOP, and how as members we can help each other and affect each other for the good across the country. When we join a national forums group or attend a conference and take the opportunity to network with others and deepen those connections that we have with members across the country, we expose ourselves to new ideas and solutions to challenges that we may be facing. That just makes us better at what we do, better at our jobs, more competent at what we do. In light of that, our national conference, CRE Converge, was held last month in Toronto. Next year it'll be in Denver. You can look on the website. Obviously there's going to be summaries of panel discussions and keynote presentations from the conference. My biggest takeaway was the networking opportunities and Mark Messier's discussion on leadership. If you're not a hockey fan, it was still pretty interesting. He has a book on it, No One Wins Alone. He won six Stanley Cups, and he'll be the first one to tell you that talent alone wasn't what won those cups. It was the team building, it was the leadership, Every team was different. We can take some lessons from what he has to say and what his experiences are. Overall, the conference was fine, but think about it. If my biggest takeaways were cocktail parties and, Marc Messier, something's wrong. We need to overhaul this conference. We need to change its focus, and we need to change what we're doing with it, its format. For the longest time, we had ICON, East and West, and we had CRE Converge. And CRE Converge is our national conference. It's where we all get together and we learn about different sectors of the commercial industry. We dive deeper into some of the things that we do best. Now, in the past 5 years, we've added cold storage, data center, office, multifamily, ICON, not only East and West, but ICON Central. We even have a CEO conference that's this year, and I think all of that is great, but it's watered down what CRE Converge is. We are starting to look at that overhaul, and we have some thoughts about that. One of the thoughts is we might exchange the programs with panelists for a deal-making component. That would be bringing debt and equity together to get projects off the ground. That could be like ICSC. I don't know, but I think it's something that we've never done before, and it might be a really important add. The other thing is creating government affairs or advocacy roundtables where members would convene to identify regional and global issues and develop strategies to deal with those. We might even break into regional groups, the western states, the northern states, the eastern states, and the central states, to talk about those issues that we're concerned with in our different areas, because they're different, and we recognize that. What I need is your ideas. I need your thoughts, how we make this different. I don't see a lot of you there, and I think the reason is because you don't think it's worth going to. So how can we make this a conference that we want to go to, that we want to attend? We are the 7th largest chapter in NAIOP. That's huge. Is Micah here? I don't know. We have like 750 members. I was going to ask him how many members we have. It's
781.
781 today. That's nuts. So we should be making this a conference that we want to go to and have a say in what it looks like. Development Magazine, I wanted to just, every member gets this. It's a quarterly publication that touches every sector of the commercial industry. If you haven't read it, haven't picked it up, haven't looked at it, you owe yourself to at least look at 1 or 2 of the articles. It's an excellent publication. It's award-winning. It's worth taking a look at. The fall issue is on Vulcan Real Estate. There's one article on Vulcan Real Estate, the Developer of the Year. Excuse me. I wanted to highlight this because thinking about it, it's a 34-people office, 34 people. And they're doing some of the most amazing projects in Seattle. They won Developer of the Year. It's a national contest for all of the developers that submit across the country, and they're 34 people. Why? How did they get selected? Well, I think it's strong leadership. It's great company culture. They haven't forgotten who they're developing for and why they're doing the work. And I think most importantly, all their work is about creating lasting relationships. It's built on relationships, forging relationships before, during, and after the project is done, not short-term transactions. It's something that we can learn from. And finally, as you know, we're going through some rebranding efforts. Please keep a lookout in your mail, your email, for monthly updates. Corporate's going to be sending you those, so you'll know what they are. Don't delete them. Take a look. There'll also be corporate board briefings that Mark Salvatelli, the president and CEO of NAIOP, is putting together to better inform you of what's happening with NAIOP across the country. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Julie. Now let's take a moment to honor our current President's Circle sponsors. They're a critical component to the success of our NAIOP chapter. This year we've had 5 platinum level sponsors, a huge accomplishment from our sponsorship committee. The first, City of North Las Vegas, a new platinum sponsor this year. Thank you. Cox Business, who has supported our chapter for 21 years. Gatsky Commercial, now known as Lincoln Gatsky Commercial, since 2022. Martin Harris Construction, since 2001. And Schnitzer Properties, since 2000. Thank you to our platinum level sponsors. We also want to thank our 10 gold level sponsors: Burke Construction Group, Clark County Community and Economic Development, EBS Realty Partners, Heller Companies, Howard Hughes, Kimley Horn and Associates, Majestic Realty Company, Prologis, Southern Nevada Water Authority, and Unforgettable Coatings. Thank you to our 10 gold level sponsors this year. Thank you. Now please check out the screen as we recognize our silver sponsors, our bronze sponsors, and our copper level President's Circle sponsors. I'm still happy, thank you. I'm still happy to report that support from our President's Circle sponsors has reached an all-time high in 2025. I'd love for us to reach another all-time high in 2026. 2026 President's Circle sponsors are now available to our members. We've emailed the package, and you can stop at registration, talk to me, talk to Lisa Brady at Prologis, or chat with Katrina or Jana. Now, can I please have representatives from the bus tour, community service, education, spotlight, and membership committees to the microphone for updates?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tice O'Neill. I'm with CBRE. I'm up here on behalf of the bus tour committee. We are less than a month away from the bus tour, which will be here at the Orleans. And this morning, we're giving away 1 ticket to the bus tour. So if you check under your chair, someone here will be getting a free ticket to the bus tour. Early bird registration goes through October 30th. And after that, we'll be paying full price. So if you're interested, please let myself or Morgan Elson with Colliers know. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Deshawn Brunswick with SVN Equity Group, here on behalf of the Community Service Committee. We are now collecting sign-ups for volunteers for our annual Thanksgiving meal drive. We are supporting 45 families of Walter Long Elementary School with groceries for their Thanksgiving meals and additional groceries to supplement their pantries throughout the holidays. We are looking for volunteers to sign up to purchase items on our shopping list. Each list will support 1 family of 4, and you can sign up for as many lists as you'd like. There should have been an email that was sent out with all the information, but you can always reach out to one of our committee members to give you additional info. In addition to shopping for the groceries, we will be holding a packing day on November 20th from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Brady Builds in Henderson. We will be packing all of the family's baskets and decorating them to make this holiday special. All members are welcome to join, but we are limited on spots, so please sign up if you would like to attend. Lunch will be provided for volunteers as well, and thank you for getting involved, and this event continues to get bigger and bigger each year, so we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Fantastic to see you all here. My name's Taylor New from Inline Construction. I represent the Education Committee. And next week, on the 23rd at 9 a.m., we are hosting an education panel at Las Vegas Realtors titled Fork in the Road. So we're going to dive deep into, do you sell an asset? Do you redevelop it? Do you Do you bulldoze it and start over? What do you do? So we've got a fantastic panel, 3 speakers, fantastic moderator, and we're gonna dive deep into some of those issues and take your questions, and it's gonna be a good time. So please remember to register online. Would love to see you all at Las Vegas Realtors on Thursday. Our sponsor for that is Patchett Design Group. So thank you to Jesse and his team. Those guys are fantastic.
Good morning, everybody. Gaetana Cafasa with Burke Construction here on behalf of the NAIOP Spotlight Awards. So save the date. It will be Saturday, February 28th at Red Rock Casino. We do still have some sponsorships available, and project submissions will be due on December 12th. So for those that are new to the process, we have 2 workshops. One will be on October 28th at 3 p.m., and the other will be on October 29th at 10 a.m. So like I said, NAIOP on Broadway this year, so red, black, gold are the colors. Thank you.
Get this down closer to my level. Art Green from Geotechnical Environmental Services, and I want to be the first one to say happy holidays because on December 16th, we have our members only, repeat, members only holiday luncheon. And I know everybody has a very full calendar come December, and I want to make sure you're circling that date on your calendar right now. You'll get an email very shortly about it. For those of you who aren't members, I actually have something good to talk to you about for a change, because if you join now, for next year, you get all the rest of this year for free, which means you get to go to the members-only holiday luncheon. Isn't that fantastic? So now you really don't have a reason not to join, because you get 2 months free just by joining today. How about that's right? Give me another woo-woo. That's right. All right, hey, but you got to join. You have any questions about membership, please see me after the breakfast. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Eric Anderson with Wright Structural Engineers here on behalf of the Golf Committee. This is just a save the date reminder. It'll be May 15th at Paiute again. Always a great turnout, always a great time. And watch for emails soon for sponsorship opportunities to get you those exclusive foursomes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Each month, we like to take a moment to recognize our new members. We have 15 this month. If you're a new member, please stand and welcome to NAIOP. As Julie mentioned earlier, I'm happy to report that we are still ranked as the 7th largest chapter nationally, and we currently have 781 members. Let's see if we can get to 800 before year's end. If you're not an NAIOP member, please join us. There's no better place to network and get educated about hot topics in our industry and the community. With over 310 in-person attendees today and continued record attendance at our events, there's never been a better time to be a NAIOP member. We're currently running our 15 for 12 promotion. Please take advantage by joining today and getting the rest of this year for free with a 2026 NAIOP membership. There's a few ways to join. You can stop at the registration table for an application. You can visit our website and join online. You can call the NAIOP office, or you can reach out to anyone with a membership committee ribbon on their name tag this morning. I'd now like to thank our 2025 breakfast meeting sponsors: American Nevada Realty, Carpenter Sellers Delgado Architects, City of North Las Vegas, Cox Business, Martin Harris Construction, NV Energy, Panettone Development Company, Schnitzer Properties, Southern Nevada Water Authority, the Whiting Turner Contracting Company, and our Wi-Fi sponsor, Gatsky Commercial, now known as Lincoln Gatsky Commercial. Thank you to our breakfast sponsors this year. And a special thank you to this morning's meeting sponsor, Southern Nevada Water Authority, who is also a gold level President's Circle sponsor. I'd like to call Michael Bernardo, Enterprise Conservation Division Manager, to the stage.
Thank you. All right, good morning. So I'm really excited to get to stand here in front of you today because I'm really excited about this panel especially. I was going to open up and keep the mimosa joke from last month's meeting going, but since we have an SNWA board member here in the room, I'm going to keep under control and behave. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. So again, my name is Michael Bernardo. I'm the Enterprise Conservation Division Manager. I know many of you in this room. What does that mean? So I work with commercial, industrial, institutional, multifamily, and golf courses to connect our rebate programs. With those different groups, my team also here in the room is involved in implementing AB 356, which is the non-functional turf removal mandate across Southern Nevada, as well as usually we're the first call for economic development. So if there's a big business coming here that wants to use water, they'll usually call us first to say, hey, is this a big use of water? What should we do here? So speaking of water, I want to talk a little bit about the status of water resources over the last year. So I think last year when I came up here and spoke, we had just come off the hottest summer ever on record. We broke 120 degrees. I think the devil went to hell to take a vacation last summer, right? So I think what this summer was much more mild, and I think we all felt that. One thing I will say, however, is the Upper Basin, where all of our water originates from, had a different story. So they saw 91% snowpack, but only 41% of runoff into Lake Powell from that snowpack. So if you think about that imbalance, how much snow, they had nearly an average year, yet they had a well below average year of actually realized runoff into the lake. And as you guys know, that's where all of our water that makes its way into Lake Mead originates from. So that just continues to show that every single year we have to continue as a basin to plan for the worst. And the good news is here at Southern Nevada Water Authority, we've been doing that for the last 2 decades. I also want to highlight partnerships. So NAIOP has been an incredible partner. I've worked with many of you in this room on some big projects, but I also want to focus on little projects. If you save a little bit of water in a lot of places, it adds up to a significant amount. So rather than, I know we've been pushing dry cooling, right? Replacing 100% of swamp coolers across all of your warehouses, for instance. If we could just replace 10% or 20%, put air rotation units, put large high volume, low speed fans, things like that so that you capture that air movement, but we're able to save a little bit of water. If we can replicate that throughout an entire portfolio for a very large business, we could save as a community a lot of water. So I want to focus on that. And then finally, I'll just say that the only way that we can continue to plan for the future is if everybody contributes. And this community has been amazing at doing that. And we have to just remember that we have to continue to do that together. So my team and I are here. We have a booth in the back. We're here to offer advice, provide resources or information on our rebate programs. And we thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you, Mike. And once again, thank you to Southern Nevada Water Authority for sponsoring today's breakfast. As you know, our programs committee has been putting out the best programs in the business. This has absolutely been one of the highlights of the year for our chapter. We've seen multiple programs with 300 plus attendees and broke the attendance record for a single program back in January. We almost broke that record again last month. The committee is producing relevant content with excellent speakers and panelists. Since it's the last program of the year, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to our programs committee. If you're on the committee, please stand and be recognized. One of the reasons our programs are so outstanding is our audience participation. This is just one last reminder. We have a Q&A session at the end of the program from 9 o'clock to 9:15. There's pens and paper at your tables, which will be collected. So let's segue into today's program titled Economy in Motion, Shaping What's Next for Southern Nevada. I'm pleased to introduce our program panel, starting with our moderator, Jamie Schwartz, Director of Business and Industry Engagement at the UNLV Office of Economic Development. Jamie Schwartz is a seasoned strategist specializing in economic development, corporate engagement, and innovation-driven partnerships. As Economic Development Director at UNLV, she designs and manages high-impact initiatives that align university, research, and talent pipelines with industry needs. With a background in entrepreneurship, business valuation, and public-private collaboration, Jamie brings a practical, results-oriented approach to complex challenges. Her work spans sectors from medtech and advanced manufacturing to startup acceleration and workforce development, delivering value through strategic alignment, cross-sector collaboration, and scalable innovation. Welcome to the stage, Jamie, and I'll turn the time over to you.
All right, thank you so much. And good morning, everybody. Really excited to be here. And before we jump into today's panel, we're gonna take a practical look at the economy. Where are we and where are we going? We've got some excellent panelists to come and share their insights, and so let me give a brief introduction while they come to stage. We'll start with Danielle Casey. Those of you are very excited to meet Danielle, who's our new president CEO with LVGEA.
Thank you.
Danielle brings extensive experience in leadership, public administration, marketing, business development, and strategic planning as the president and CEO of the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, where she leads efforts to build a prosperous and diverse Southern Nevada economy. She previously served as president and CEO of the Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance, transforming the organization with a new strategic plan, 501c3 transition, national accreditation, and award-winning recognition from the International Economic Development Council. Her career spans leadership roles across Arizona, California, and New Mexico, including Executive Vice President of the Greater Sacramento Economic Council and Economic Development Director for the City of Scottsdale. A certified economic developer and economic development finance professional, Ms. Casey serves as Vice Chair of the International Economic Development Council Board and instructs at the University of Oklahoma's Economic Development Institute. An Air Force brat who has lived across the U.S., she's proud to now call Las Vegas home with her husband Steve and their dogs Sophie and Percy, and we are so pleased that she has decided to make Las Vegas home. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Mr. Steve Hill, President and CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Steve is the CEO and president of the destination marketing organization that promotes and attracts tourism, conventions, sports, and special events to Southern Nevada, and owns and operates the Las Vegas Convention Center. Mr. Hill also serves as chair of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, which owns and has oversight of the $2 billion Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders. Go Raiders. The Las Vegas Stadium Authority was instrumental in bringing Major League Baseball to the city, securing the A's move to Las Vegas in 2028, and construction of the A's ballpark. Go Las Vegas A's. Under Mr. Hill's leadership, the LVCC unveiled its $1 billion West Hall expansion in 2021 and initiated a $600 million renovation of the facility's legacy campus.
You could cut that off.
It's set for completion later this year. Folks, if you are familiar with Las Vegas, then you are familiar with Mr. Steve Hill, and we are so pleased he's here today. And last but certainly not least, my good friend Andrew Woods, the director for the Center for Business and Economic Research at UNLV. Andrew brings more than 15 years of experience as a business and public affairs professional. He's got a Bachelor of Arts, cum laude in political science and economics from American University, did scholarly work at University College London, and an MA in public policy from the University of Chicago. He's currently completing his Master of Business Administration from the Booth School of Business, University of Chicago. Prior to joining UNLV's CBER, Andrew started and ran a successful economic analysis, financial management, and public affairs consulting firm. As CEO of Woods Strategies in Las Vegas, his expertise in applying data and research to strengthen organizations and communities has led him to hold many leadership positions both in the public and private sector. He's known for his financial acumen, vision, reliability, and integrity, and we certainly are proud to call him a rebel at UNLV. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Andrew Woods.
Jamie.
So before we jump into our questions, I think all of us here know that Las Vegas has a bit of an unconventional way of defining herself. She knows how to reinvent herself, and she knows how to adapt to changing times. Right now, we are in a little bit of a complex moment with mixed signals across sectors. And some areas are showing some steady strength and others are recalibrating. And it's hard to know whether we're entering a next wave of growth or whether this is a holding pattern. I'd like to have each of our guests share a little bit about how they would characterize Southern Nevada's economy today, some of the bright spots and some of the headwinds. And as you kick off, would you each also just share a little bit about how your organization shapes the economy for Southern Nevada? Danielle?
Okay, well, hey everybody. First, I want to just thank NAIOP for having me. I'm a huge fan of NAIOP. I think this is, when you heard in my background, different markets that I've had the pleasure of serving. So I was a big fan and champion and partner in Arizona, California, and in New Mexico. In fact, the NAIOP leadership were some of my closest allies as we got some really critical things done in the community. So I'm definitely expecting the same and even more here. So LVGEA, everybody familiar? Kind of know that we exist? I mean, we've been around for a long time on the history books, reinvented and changed in 2012 with a restructure of how the state designates redevelopment or regional development agencies, and we are the Southern Nevada designee. So that's a wonderful relationship. So just coming out of the gate, we are the partner for GoEd in economic development, business attraction, and I really always like to refer to that as base business and industry attraction. So we are focused on growing and getting companies to come to our market that create net new wealth in the community. It's the simplest way to explain it. They are coming and they are selling more, hopefully, out of our state and out of our market than is being circulated within. And then that supports your economic cycle. So what do we do inside LVGEA? Well, clearly I'm learning a lot of that and unpacking how we operate, but I do have a little bit of familiarity through my past experience as well as my connections and partnerships with major metro economic development CEOs across the country. And, you know, we are a regional partner. So we work with and represent all of the municipalities and partners, public and private, in Southern Nevada, all of Clark County, to do this work. And some of the things you're going to see us do at a deeper level even are research and data, but research and data with our partners in a different way. How are we telling the value proposition to businesses looking at our market? How are we serving as that regional marketing arm in a way that complements the tourism and visitor attraction work, but also speaks to talent and to base industry business? So there's a lot more to kind of unravel there, but if that gives you a high level piece of overview of what we do. And then how do we see the economy right now? This is going to be a lot of work that we're going to be spending, so I may dig into this a little later in the conversation. I'm getting to understand the community and the market. I guess the big teaser I'll throw out there now is what I keep hearing from everyone and what I'm seeing in all of the research that we've been provided by great partners in the community who have done work for LVGEA, and obviously anybody kind of driving around and having basic understandings of the economy can see that we've got a tremendously robust tourism and services sector in the market. Everyone has told me that I've met with, we need to diversify, and my question is always, to what end and what does success look like and what are those metrics and where are we trying to get to? And that's something I'm going to work very hard, very intentionally, and very quickly at defining in a way that we can actually measure our success against. So we're going to be working on that over the next few months so that we have a very, very determined effort over the next several years. So I'll stop with that.
Great. Yeah. How about you, Steve?
I'm Steve Hilt. I'm with the Las Vegas Convention Visitors Authority. I think most of you know who we are and what we do, but briefly, we're the marketing organization for Las Vegas. We own and operate the convention center. We sell shows, trade shows, meetings, group events, both for our building and partner with the resorts and the destination to do that. Really try and just drive demand for Las Vegas through those efforts. We've also stepped into places where it makes sense for us to step into the transportation space and the experience for our visitors, either to get to Las Vegas or once they're here. So we own the monorail and we're kind of pushing the Las Vegas Loop, and we are the organization that partners with Reed Airport to bring new routes to Las Vegas from both the United States and around the world, working to help try and fix a little bit of I-15. So that's really what we do. From an economic standpoint, we've obviously been through a slowdown. The reports of our death are greatly exaggerated. Vegas there's no place like Vegas on earth. People want to be here. It's a little harder for some of them to be here now than it has been in the past. So we've seen a slowdown over the summer. We started to see a little bit of uptick as we got to August. I've seen some preliminary numbers for September. September's probably going to be a little better than August. We feel like there's a ramp out of this slowdown as we work through the rest of this calendar year. We have a great foundation of both group business, trade shows, sporting events, the lineup at Allegiant Stadium, the lineup at the Sphere. I mean, if you look around at what drives people to Las Vegas, the next 15 months looks exceptionally strong. And so we're excited about that. Our long-term view of Vegas is very optimistic. We're who we are, and people love us, and I still have the easiest product on earth to sell.
All right. Andrew?
Well, Jamie, thanks for having me, and NAIOP, thanks for having me as well. So I run the Center for Business and Economic Research at the fabulous University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We've been around, I'm taking some of his tagline over here. We've been around for 50 years, so this is our 50th anniversary this year, which we're celebrating. We are Nevada's premier applied economic research center. We work on behalf of all of you. We are a public entity, public and private, but we go into the community and get our hands dirty working on different projects that are in the public interest. We've done stuff for the Water Authority, for the RTC of Southern Nevada, Clark County, as well as occasionally with associations, firms, and nonprofits. So getting to your question, Jamie, because this is a little bit of what we do, monitoring economic conditions, I'd say we're cautiously stable right now in the economy. I just got back from the other land of freedom, so Las Vegas being one, but Philadelphia, from a conference where I saw the chairman of the Federal Reserve speak, Jay Powell, right? And there was a bunch of us in the room who work in business economics, and it's very clear everyone we're the two-handed economists. We're seeing there's data out there that says there's still a lot of growth and opportunity, but there's also a lot of warning lights going on about things like our labor market and inflation. I think there are three forces, just to sum this up real quickly, that are going to drive Southern Nevada and Nevada's economy in the coming years. Some good, some bad. So the first one, if it shows up here, is, oh, I got to turn it on, don't I? So, yep, one more. Population growth. So the good news, we've been doing this since 1997. We do it on behalf of the Water Authority, RTC, Clark County, but we're forecasting still additional 387,000 more people living here in the next 10 years. To put that in perspective, that's about 9 more net new residents by the end of this breakfast. So that's good. Population is growing. To be cautious about this is given where we are with immigration, this is very much influenced also by international migration. It's also influenced by Californians. So looking at those two areas and how that evolves over the next 5 to 10 years is something we're paying very close attention to. The second one is about jobs. So we know that the fastest growing industry in Southern Nevada, can you guess it? Healthcare. Right behind that, transportation and warehousing. Right behind that is professional services. Real estate is in the top 5. The point is that there is a lot of growth in jobs, but it's not necessarily the jobs that match up with what workers are saying they want to go into. And so there's this gap. And we're going to have to address that, especially given that where we are with immigration policy and that maybe also domestic migration may slow down too. We're going to have to find new ways to get workers into the workforce and what are the incentives around that. The third and lastly is affordability. I don't think those pressures are going to ease. I think there's a lot of upside risk right now with inflation and stickiness of prices. We know that homes, for example, in Las Vegas have gone up 50% in 5 years. I know there's different markets there, and some of it is softer than others. But given that I'm showing you that population demand, I still see prices continue to go up. I see affordability issues continue to be a concern. One of the things we are doing that we are writing about, anyone a subscriber to our weekly newsletter, the Rebel Business Indicators? See a couple hands. We've been writing about this we need to be careful about looking at the data that gets put in the headlines out there because it's not being adjusted for inflation. So inflation's gone up about 25% in the last 4 to 5 years. I'm just showing you here gaming revenue Like if you adjust it for inflation, it's at $844 billion on a monthly basis, not over $1 billion. I get nominally it is over $1 billion, and that is what matters on a balance sheet. But we're also not accounting for the costs. Costs have also gone up. They've gone up for businesses. They've gone up for consumers. We all know this. We all feel it. So when you account for actual inflation, the numbers are not quite as strong as they get reported to be out there. The good news is taxable sales have been strong. So that number isn't quite as different, but some of these other numbers, and we've been putting them out there, is when you adjust for inflation, you got to be careful on this. And I think as we look long term, how do we account for those increased costs? Those are the three forces that I think we're kind of thinking about when it comes to the economy right now.
Okay, well, so let's work from those three forces, Andrew. Across every conversation about growth, whether we're talking about business expansion or housing or planning, the word workforce comes up, as it just came up with you just a short minute ago. Talent, affordability, and infrastructure are now inseparable from economic competitiveness. How are workforce realities and housing trends shaping our ability to be competitive and sustain growth? Do you want to jump on that one since you were just there?
I can start, but obviously you've got two other experts up here.
For sure.
So
come back.
For example, for example, CBER every quarter surveys our businesses. If you're part of one of the chambers, we send it out to the chamber and we get a reading from businesses on how they're doing. And for several years, it came up that they're having a hard time finding qualified workers. So we were like, well, do we ever talk to the workers about what's their challenge? Because if there's jobs, why aren't they finding these jobs? So we started 3 years ago surveying every year statewide our entire workforce. Particularly, we started working with the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation about, well, let's talk to the unemployed workers, not non-unemployment, just unemployed, that they report, self-report. And particularly, we've been talking lately to long-term unemployed. When you ask them what their number one job they want to do, it is the sports economy. It's the arts entertainment side. It is the leisure and hospitality side. But then you ask them, are there available jobs? This is under current conditions. They say there's not enough available jobs. But then I go to, like I just said, the number one driver is healthcare. Healthcare is 7th in terms of the jobs they want to do. And then when I even ask the workers who want to get into healthcare, what is holding you back from the workforce? Because if it's for leisure and hospitality workers right now, it's not enough available jobs. For healthcare people who are interested in healthcare, it's skill training. And then I go to Dieter and I say, well, aren't there programs here to get people into these skill programs? And they say yes. And then so I ask these workers about their skill, do they know about these programs? There are 2 ways that people find jobs. And it's your network and it's Googling. Right? The state programs, the local programs are like 7th, 8th, 9th on the list. So doing a better job of merging those two and making people available to know there is job training, there is opportunity, there is mobility. I think what's really evolved over Vegas, it's our 50th anniversary, so we're going through the archives, we see the incredible growth, we see where gaming and leisure and all that has evolved into this incredible product for the world and for Las Vegas. But we also see that Vegas is also diversified and is much more sophisticated today than it was 50 years ago. We have a lot more opportunity out there, but are we making that known to all our workers, and are we doing the programs to get them into that? That's where we're seeing the friction when we say talk to workers.
Thank you, Steve. So I'll jump. There's also the piece, Andrew, and I appreciate all that. People need to know what's available. So there's a lot of education. There are some states doing an incredible job in this at a statewide level, creating portals and opportunities where there are career pathway information in one central location. So I think it's Virginia or one of them. I can look it up, but they've got really, really major investments in that. Michigan has put about $60 million into talent attraction for specific roles for companies that are growing. So we need to always look. I'm a big proponent of looking at what competition is doing, but it's also a piece. I think we had this conversation recently. We need to also look where we think the jobs of the future are going and what we want to attract in our market. We need to design toward that. So I did hear you say, they're wanting to have the sports entertainment and the leisure and hospitality, and we love that. But are we also trying to figure out where the puck is going and then get our folks ramped up for that for the future? So I think that's a big, interesting piece of consideration that we'll be looking at deeply. And then I will tell you absolutely, our business at LVGEA is looking at national site selection consultants and other companies that their entire job is to advise businesses on which markets to down select out of. So our job is always, how do we keep us in the running? That's what I'm thinking about every day. My job is to get us on their list and then to keep us from getting knocked off their list. And it is always about workforce and labor. So we also have to work on controlling that external narrative, because when what they're reading and what they're seeing and the information they have, that they're doing their own bench, and desktop research, and they're looking at the headlines and they're looking at all of that information, we're off the list before we even know we were on it, or we have to get extremely proactive in telling the story to them one by one. So that's some of the stuff we're going to lean into.
You'll notice that when Andrew talked about the industries that are growing the most right now, he did not mention tourism and hospitality. And that's been the case for 10 years or so. We are a little over 300,000 employees in the industry in this valley right now. If you look back at 2018, we were a little over 300,000 direct jobs in the industry. The growth of our industry is not a given. And I look at the projection of 4 million people here 20 years from now and wonder how much of this industry's growth is factored into that, because I don't think to whatever extent that is the case, that it is a given. We are huge here. It takes an exceptional amount of work and effort by everybody in that industry to keep the gaming and hospitality at 300,000 people's employment. You've seen that over the last number of months that has suffered a little bit. From a workforce standpoint, going forward, you're right. We need to see where the workforce is going. There are a lot of changes in technology that the workforce is going to have to adapt to in order for us as a community to stay at the cutting edge of the industries where we are trying to attract and grow. I've also been here 38 years, and for the last 30 or so, we've been having the same conversation. There's always, I was in the concrete business, I was at GoEd, I'm in tourism and hospitality. There's always hey, we're struggling to find the people we want to hire. That last 5 or 10% of our workforces, no matter when, have always been work. What we've seen in the gaming industry recently, in response to that, is some pretty significant raises for our frontline workers. For example, at the convention center, our food and beverage supplier, Sodexo, is represented by the culinary as our most in town. In 2023, we gave those folks a 27% raise. It's mattered to them. It's mattered to our ability to attract a workforce. We were struggling to do that, as were many in the field, and they've gotten that raise and then 5% a year on top of that. So it's kind of changed the landscape, which is kind of a part of some of the policy decisions that have been made here and federally, and that's actually kind of taken hold. Now, it's also a reason that prices are higher in Las Vegas, because we're having to compensate for higher labor costs, higher food and beverage costs, higher material costs, as you all know, higher construction costs. And so that balance is what we're all looking to find in this time.
So Danielle, you talked about staying on the site selectors list, which I know is really important to everybody in this room, that site selectors keep us at the top of the list. And so when companies are evaluating markets now, they are looking beyond costs. They're looking at livability and sustainability and resilience in the community. These factors are shaping how regions like ours are perceived in the national conversation. How do you see Nevada's story evolving around livability and sustainability, and how do we tell that story to the site selectors out there?
Sure. Well, I'm certainly hoping it can. I'm a huge proponent for celebrating what we have and leaning into and leveraging that. You're not going to try to think that there's any need to, or that you would even want to get away from what we are so good at and so well known for, I think is a little nuts. But when you can add on to that the natural environment and the quality of life, we're living 30 minutes outside of the central core of town. Absolutely love it. And the mountain vistas are beautiful. People don't know about this. There's definitely a lot of conversations around that. And economic developers across the country, there's been a big evolution. I'd say, I really wish I had done this work 30 years ago, because it was a lot of cigars and golf, right? But really now it has become very technical. Quality of life is bubbling up higher on the list. I don't even know if I want to go there. Maybe it's on your list, but we do have to think about education. And the education I lean into, obviously it starts, at pre-K all the way up. But I also think about higher education and the opportunities there when we are looking at the medical district and things that we can really grow in that space and become a center of gravity in a new way. There are tremendous investments there that are going to also attract, I think, the talented and knowledge workers that we need across all industries. When we're looking at AI, we're looking at adaptability in local governments. We have some big sustainability issues we need to think about. And I don't think that's a bad thing. We need to become the absolute best at addressing the unique pieces of our environment and our community that need to be taken care of and served, but we also can be the place where, well, I guess I'll put it this way. I've watched a lot of markets, and I saw this when I went into New Mexico, and it really upset me when I got to Albuquerque, and the first thing I saw in a pitch deck, and I see this a little bit in our material right now, the first pitch deck I saw there was, hey, we've got great incentives and it's cheap. You don't have to pay people as much here. It's low cost of living. Come on. And I went, if your sales pitch long term is cheap and will throw money at you in hopes that you come here, you're really not designing to a sustainable future where you are the place that companies and people want to be because you're the best place to do that work. So this is something I focus on quite a bit. So that quality of life aspect is going to be a big deal. Figuring out how we can develop the housing for people that want to come into the community in an affordable way, but also having different types of housing stock that they can get into is going to be absolutely critical. But when I think about our higher ed university systems overall, I really do believe that they are the single most they have the single most potential for massive transformation in any community. I watched that in Greater Phoenix for 20 years. I watched the liberal arts party school that I went to become one that I'm proud to, I'm a Sun Devil, so one that I'm proud to have gone to, not when I went there, but with intentionality, right? That community, I tell this story a lot because to me it's a pretty powerful one. I watched Greater Phoenix in the early 2000s go from being a call center and a data center in an absolutely, sales forward, low cost environment to one that went, this is not going to serve us long term, and really focusing on the high tech, chips environment, all of those things. And now they are a top engineering school in the country and graduating more out of their engineering school in 1 year or one class than they had in the whole school a decade ago. And they're leading in that space. I'm not saying that engineering or, chips manufacturing is our sweet spot, but can we look at something like that where we lean in very, very hard and then create a center of excellence? And I think that partnerships between business, economic development, and higher ed are a tremendous way to do it. One of many.
Oh, yeah. That's a very important focus for us. Steve, do you have thoughts on that as well?
Well, what question would you like me to answer?
Well, so as far as we're talking about the story around livability and sustainable growth here in Nevada.
Yeah, it was a great answer, but I was just paying attention to your answer. One thing I will say that it doesn't really, it's not directly on point to your question, but when you hear questions around affordability and the future of communities, if you project those same questions into other communities, our customers here, and from a tourism and hospitality standpoint, are asking those same questions where they are. It's making it, the affordability for them is making it harder for them to come here. And we have to respond to those not only here, but in response to the concerns that our customers have across the country. We've got a couple of things here that make it a little more difficult for us than, say, Phoenix. And the big difference between Phoenix and Las Vegas is the price of land. We don't control much of our land, and it is obviously confined and hard to find developable land at this point, either for housing or for commercial work. Phoenix didn't have that problem. They have, actually a very, very big footprint, and the difference in the price of the land 10 years ago was about 4 times here versus there. I don't know if that's still the same in this decade, but that's when I was in economic development. It was a very difficult thing for us to overcome. Still is here. We have resource constraints that we have to consider when we're deciding what industries to focus on. There's a whole segment of industries that are not as resource intense. And I think that is the future of Las Vegas. I think housing, when we were building houses 20 years ago, we felt like we needed 18 or 20,000 units a year. When we were going into the Great Recession, we built 40 in 2006 and 2007. We haven't gotten back to the 18. And so we have a continual growth in the housing gap here. We probably have 75 or 100,000 fewer homes than we need. Homes are going to have to shrink. They're going to have to go higher. Mr. Burke's building all those properties downtown that I think is the future of what housing in Las Vegas looks like. I'm kind of excited about that. That density is, I think, our future. We're not going to solve that land problem. We've got a bill before Congress. It helps, but that's not going to fix the price of land. So those types of considerations are, I think, going to have to be a part of the conversation that Danielle leads going forward.
Well, I'll just riff off of what they both just said, but just say that I think the thing they're hinting at here, and that I can tell you for sure has worked when we've done it in the past and is working right now when we're doing it, is planning and having a vision, that plan fits into. So SEBRA started working with the Water Authority in 1997, right? We have reduced our water usage, total water usage by 23% because we were they're planning decades in the future. We're helping them with the data and the vision, but because of that, that's a success story. Let's do the same thing with housing right now. I know we all want quick wins. We want things to happen in 6 months. I want things to happen in 6 months, but it's not going to happen in 6 months. It's going to happen in 6 to 10, 15 years. But if we start now, we're going to be in a much better place. Our children are going to be in a much better place, and we're going to address that quality of life issue. My friend, Dr. Sean McCoy at the Lead Center, who I know you had on a panel or at one of these breakfasts earlier this year, he just released a whole study. We were actually on the phone. It was Friday. It's when all the thunderstorms were rolling, because I remember driving around. Anyway, point is, he was asking me, he was like, he's using our population estimates, and he's like, how much land would we need to put another 387,000 people in this community in the next 10 years? And we were going back and forth, and I said, it's like another city of Henderson. So he literally plots the city of Henderson on top of what the availability or just the overall land use we have, if you haven't seen this study. The whole point is, we don't have enough land, as they're mentioning, as they're saying. We're going to have to find another way. But if we start planning right now and building policies around that and having, again, the stronger partnerships between the state, the local, the regional, and all of the private industry, we can tackle this. But if we keep kind of kicking the can down the road, we're going to be, we'll all be on this stage in 10 years having the same conversation, which we might still have happen anyway. But I think
if I'm on stage 10 years from now, I'm going to be pretty happy.
Yeah. So, I hope we'll all be very happy in 10 years. So the whole point is, but we can start this today, and it is happening, I know, in smaller circles, but I think there needs to be a larger vision. The state needs to say, this is who we want to be, this is what we're going to work on, and this is how we're going to get there. And part of that is, again, working with the Center for Business Economic Research and others to be like, what are going to be these impediments that we need to be thinking about and removing, so we can, and I get it's a long list, but if we remove one here and one there, we can do it, just like we've done with transportation, with water, and other areas.
And I'll just add to that, it's not just what we want to be, it's what we can be. Mm-hmm. And that combination needs to be a part of the conversation. So it needs to fit what we have.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, Steve, you were going to talk about how much better the quality of life is here in Southern Nevada now that we have all these amazing sports teams here, but.
And that is completely true. I think the one attraction of Las Vegas is is the quality of life here once people come and experience it. I mean, I can't imagine living someplace else that would be better than living here. There's so much to do. There is such an yeah, exactly.
You can applaud that. That's a
I mean,
great applause line.
That's true. We talk about our issues, and when I was in economic development, I used to say, well, I was from Dayton, Ohio. I would much rather be selling Las Vegas than virtually any other place out there. And it's an easy sell once you can get people here to experience it.
Right.
Can I add, Andrew, I love your comment on removing impediments, because that's how I look at economic development at a 30,000 foot level, you know, internal to LVGEA. We're doing the bait and tackle, and you've done the economic development work. That doesn't change a lot. You're creating a value proposition, you're calling on clients, you're identifying companies, you're doing all that work. It's a traditional sales funnel. I mean, there's a lot of creative ways to approach that. But ultimately, if you're not taking that insight and that experience and what you're doing for business attraction, and then looking at it and going, okay, when and why are we not winning at things we should be winning at, that we've agreed we win at, and then fixing the things that are the obstacles, then all we're really doing is chasing what's going to come here on its own based on current conditions. And I look at economic development through the need to have a transformational lens on it.
All right, so as we wrap up and before we have a little bit of time for some questions, I want to ask each of you, what is one signal or trend that we can leave this room on an optimistic note that gives you confidence in Southern Nevada's future, and one challenge that we need to keep in view so that we can sustain it?
Well, I'll start. You know, we've talked about some of the issues that we have, and we've had to slow down. But if you look at the growth of Las Vegas, other than during great recessions and pandemics, it has continued to be strong. People want to be here. And there's all kinds of reasons for that. But that kind of tailwind for us is fantastic. And so I think it is the indicator for the future of the city.
Agreed. And I always look at competitive markets. So what I'm also watching are some of these other, you know, niche markets, mid-sized markets that have really popped and done great things are starting to get a little bit oversaturated. So I think it puts us in a position where on top of all of that, it's really an opportunistic time. I think it's our time to jump in and take advantage of that. I don't think anybody expected what happened in Nashville would happen in Nashville, for example, and that is absolutely possible. And now some of those markets are just getting really nice and full. Phoenix is getting far too expensive. And so I think we can really take advantage of this moment in time in addition to the reasons that Steve has pointed out.
So we have a white paper that we're working on that's going to come out for the end of the year, and I'm teasing it now. I'm going to be teasing it at Outlook on November 13th. But we have found that Nevada was the third fastest growing state for entrepreneurship after the pandemic. And these are businesses with employees, and they are here in Nevada. And these businesses survived the pandemic years later, are still operating. And also the types of people who were starting these businesses were different. The sizes were interesting. It's not just under 5 employees. Some of these businesses ended up with 50 to 99 employees. So we've been doing a lot of work on that. And it gives me a lot of optimism as an economist. I want to see competition. I want to see market forces at play. I want to see people taking risk and, you know, going out there into the marketplace with a new idea. And knowing that we are competitive in that environment, given all the things that we offer, gives me a lot of hope about what does the economic environment look like 10 years from now? Who are the players in that economic environment? It will certainly be leisure and hospitality, and they will continue to succeed and drive the economy and be number one. But who's going to be number two? Who's going to be number three? By the way, the types of businesses, guess what was number one for these companies that were created? Healthcare. Second one was professional services. Third was the other category, which is how economists classify things we don't know what to put into a category, right? Which is very economist of us. So the point is there is a lot of dynamicism. All right, you know what I'm trying to say. It's early, I'm sorry. I messed that word up. But the point is we're very dynamic as an economy, more so than we give ourselves credit for, and we need to be taking that into account. I think there's a lot of programs out there. I know there's a lot of funds out there now to help with this, but I think that can be even turbocharged even more. The area where I'm a little more cautiously pessimistic about is having an honest conversation too about how we're going to pay for things, because it is going to get more expensive. We do have good infrastructure, but it's an aging infrastructure system, just like around the country. We have an aging population as well. We have questions about workforce and workforce participation. So how are you going to pay for the quality of life and all these things? I still think it's the thing I said before, vision and planning. But again, that's going to be a conversation we all need to have among ourselves and with our leaders about how do we address that issue about funding all of this.
Well, thank you guys for your insights today. And we obviously have a very knowledgeable panel here, and I'm sure that there are some questions from the audience for this group. So I'm guessing there's a mic. Yeah, it's right back there. So
thank you.
How about we raise hands for questions?
No, I have them all. It would be
You've got them all ready?
It would be chaos
Hi, Dan.
if they rose hands. Steve, you have thick skin. Somebody just left the program 10 minutes into it, shook my hand and said, "Great program," and walked out the door. Steve brought up land. So to that point, please look on your table. There's a one-page white page with logos and stuff on land, and it's very good, and we should all be circulating it. Danielle, you are the prettiest girl at the dance. You almost got all of the questions. One of them is, are we missing any business location opportunities because of our rental rates and space availability?
Rental rate, so I'm going to assume we're talking about commercial leasing rates as
Commercial,
opposed to
leasing, industrial.
housing. It's a good question. I'm less than 50 days in, and I'm starting to unpack the deals in our pipeline and understand what we're looking at there. I have done some consultant surveys and outreach where what I am hearing is that their strong perception, which perception means reality, is that we don't have any industrial available space that has the infrastructure needed. And then I always look at total cost of business operations. So I would never look and focus just on lease rates. I would look at lease rates plus cost of labor plus cost of operation. I've been telling everybody I registered my car the other day and had to take out a loan, so I know how we're getting that. But so I would say I don't have a direct answer on that, but I'm going to be looking at that really closely. And it also, as you know, as everybody here knows, it really depends on the industry that you're looking at and what you're trying to put in. I do know that we don't have a plethora of Class A space, and so depending on the different types of product that we're trying to bring or different types of businesses we're trying to bring, that could be a concerning factor.
Thank you very much. It was answered kind of in different ways, but I always like to ask a UNLV student question, and it was, what is the biggest microeconomic risk that Las Vegas faces in the near term? Couple years. Besides land, our big issue.
Micro.
Yeah,
Looking at me.
Yeah,
Micro.
sure.
I
mean,
said I was just.
we don't know how to answer that.
I was
so
just tutoring last night on microeconomics. So.
Steve and I are having cigars and playing golf after this.
Don't let a UNLV student stump you.
I know. I'm trying to think of something I haven't mentioned already.
Right.
Yeah, I think some other work that we have done that has come up, and Steve, I know, works on this stuff, is the transportation piece. So, and it's specific to Southern Nevada, is, are we giving, I would classify this as choice of transportation and mode and method, and are we investing in that? Because if we're going to have more of the population I've shown you, we've also done an industrial study with Brookings Mountain West and Transportation Research Center, which was for GoEd, showing we're going to have 70% more truck traffic here in Clark County, not on just our highways, but on our local roads in the next 10 to 15 years. 70% more truck traffic. How are you going to balance those needs? Because we need trucks, right? We need to move things around with also the commuting population and, just as importantly, our visitor population. And we need to get creative. I know you're working with the Boring Company. That's one creative approach. I think as a community, we need to have that honest conversation about what are all of the modes of transportation so that we can take our kids to school, so that we can go to work, so that we can go on vacation too, whether it is to the Strip or to somewhere else, and get from A to B, but also help our visitors, because I know one of the big complaints at the airport is it's getting in and out of the airport. And I think I know on our report card for infrastructure we get a good grade because it's newer, But A, that's aging, and B, is it keeping up also with the demand? And if you've ever heard RTC come and speak, they talk about too, we miss out on a lot of federal funding because we don't have a dedicated stream to pay for transportation, right? There's not a dedicated funding source, and if we did, we could go after a lot more federal funding and get some of our dollars back. So again, it goes into this whole theme of we need to have an honest conversation about how do we pay for these things, which I think lends itself to all sorts of ideas and views.
Steve, kind of a fun prediction question. Besides Bally's/Tropicana, when do you think the next hotel will be built on the Strip?
Yeah, I think it's, and not counting apparently Hard Rock and the Mirage either,
correct.
which is obviously going up right now. I think it's going to be a while. It is the only thing that pencils in Las Vegas from hotel resort, integrated resort standpoint is very high end right now. I mean, if you build a 5.5-star resort, that is, I think, still an attractive option here, probably on a little smaller basis than the 3,000 or 4,000 room properties at something in the 1,000 room range. You've got all of the real estate investment trust deals on the south end of the Strip that are an obstacle to blowing those up and rebuilding something. It's financially not going to make any sense. Very difficult to get something to pencil right now. So until interest rates come down, I don't see properties being built on Las Vegas Boulevard in the resort corridor started in this decade. I'd be surprised by that.
There was a number of different AI questions, but they all circulated kind of around where do you respectively see AI in your future for Las Vegas, given what you guys do for every day? Sure. Anyone can take it. I mean, some of the questions were data centers in Apex. That's a little different than just general AI use. So you can run with it.
Well, data centers are a very big question. Obviously, the evolution and how they are cooling their facilities and operating. They've got a very bad reputation, I think, globally and nationally over time because of the way they've historically operated and been very big water and power users. I think the interesting piece, though, when you're looking at high demand users like that across the country, if everybody's watched, with the feds, every project in the pipeline I had in New Mexico, we had 3 times the regional grid in pipeline demands on the books, looking at our market there. And I think it's probably pretty similar here when you add up the data centers and the solar panel manufacturing and all of those intense uses. But we were talking about, what suits our community and our market. We need to be very careful about that, although there are ways to do that in a sustainable manner. So I will say, really bluntly, I don't chase data centers because data centers are looking in every corner of this country for a location to go. So I think if you have one that fits the community and it's opportunistic, you're going to need that data power because AI is going to change everything. It's going to change the way we operate, the way all businesses operate, the types of output, the types of jobs we all have. So, I'm keeping an eye on all of the literature and everything going on and how that's going to affect literally every single industry going forward. And if you want to be a center of gravity for that, you're also going to need, data centers that offer, high data analytics and the ability to actually power that industry. So I think it's going to be really, really fascinating and complex.
We're looking at it from a usage standpoint. We are the largest destination marketing organization in the world. We want to take advantage of that strength to invest in AI, which we are doing right now. My vision for this is to have perfect knowledge of this industry, to be able to use AI to point us in the right direction to go sell, the right direction to go maximize all of the assets that we have in Las Vegas. We are building a system and a room that we can meet in with our resort partners to functionally pull that off. And we think it offers an opportunity to further separate Las Vegas from other destinations around the country and around the globe.
I'd like to thank the panel. They spent a lot of time before they get here today, but I'd really like to thank everyone in the audience. We've had about 300 every month for 10 months in a row. So without the panel, great, but also without the guest coming here, we wouldn't be here. So thank you, and a big round of applause for all of you collectively.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank again to our speakers, our breakfast meeting sponsor, Southern Nevada Water Authority, and to all of you for attending the meeting this morning. One last reminder, this was our last breakfast program of the year. Thank you to all of our attendees throughout the year that make NAIOP the place to be on the third Thursday of each month. I hope to see all of you again on November 13th at the bus tour here at the Orleans, and again after that at our members-only holiday lunch. New date, Tuesday, November 16th at the Four Seasons. Thanks again to you all.